What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 225. This episode is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, that gives us a little kickback and, of course, keeps the podcast ongoing. With me is my co-host, Ryan, who had to slick his hair back. So that's why we're a minute late on starting.
Well, I got home. It was like hot here today. I think it was 90 something, 95, 96. And like, I was just hot. I got home, just wet my hair down. I came back down here later and like part of it was just everywhere. So I had to go up and fix it because it wasn't good.
I understand.
Shining.
Yeah. If you look at my hair, it's a mess. And yeah, I won't be getting a cut for another couple of weeks. So, like actually cut. I'm going to try to cut it myself one more time before I go to the barber shop. But yeah, how's your week been? How's everything?
Good. I mean, it's been all right. Busy week. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to turn this light off. I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to set up a light and podcast, and I should really just be podcasting. And
Ryan got a couple of the key light airs from Corsair or Elgato. Corsair, Elgato, same thing. But yeah, he just set this up. It's always good to get like new stuff and like want to play with it, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, let's get started on the podcast. M3 Media or Paul says, "Hey guys, what's up, Paul?
What's up?
What up?" But for everybody who is here with us in the live stream, we of course have our full show notes page that is in the description of the video. So if you guys want to follow along to see everything that we're talking about, you could go ahead and do that. And we'll jump right into reviews this week. And we have two products that are completely on the opposite spectrums of each other. First, I am continuing my Z490 motherboard coverage. So this week, I took a look at the Asus ROG Maximus 12 Hero. It's Republic of Gamers. That is their lowest end Maximus board, but that's like a weird way to explain it because again, this is a Maximus board in the ROG line. What is it? ROG just like ROG and then ROG Strix and then Maximus? Is that how it goes? I think.
Yeah.
ROG,
ROG Strix,
and then Maximus, right?
Hero. I mean,
well, this is the Hero, but I mean, like
across.
Yeah. So, in any case, this is sort of like their top end series of motherboards. The Maximus boards are always the high end, and this board is a super high end board, but it comes in around $400. So it's not a cheap board by any means, but it's far less expensive than a lot of other flagship boards and has a lot of the same features. And I think that after reviewing a lot of Z490 boards, I see this board, I'm like, Asus gets it. Like they get it. Like they're always doing things, and there's so many things on this board that you just won't find on other boards. You can go through it really quickly. As far as design and layouts, it's an ATX motherboard. You can kind of see the design that they're going for, kind of like an all-black PCB. And then you have these kind of glossy black elements here, which I think go really well. All of the main heat sinks are black, and there's a lot of heat sinks on this board, as you can see. One of the cool things that they did comparing their Z390 board to the Z490 is they changed the cooling on the VRM. Obviously, you need a lot more cooling. So what they've done is they've kind of spread it out across 3 heat sinks, which are all connected by a heat pipe here. It does a lot better cooling, of course, than the previous generation, which is really nice on this board. You have 8 plus an extra 4-pin for power if you do plan on doing some, really heavy overclocking. One of the cool things on the board is this flex key. So if you have a start button right here, but a flex key. And what's really cool about this, and at least as far as I know, Asus is the only one that's doing this, is that this key can be reprogrammed. There's a bunch of different options. So usually you see a start and you see a reset. By default, this is set to reset, but you can change it to there's a bunch of different options that you can change it to, like go right into the BIOS if you press it. A bunch of other things that you can set it to. So it kind of gives you a lot of functionality. And I think for somebody who is buying a Maximus board, an enthusiast, somebody who's overclocking, somebody who's kind of tinkering around, that's a great thing to have.
Yeah, like going right to BIOS when hitting that board is like, that's awesome. I was even trying to get into my BIOS tonight, and I don't know, for some reason the BIOS screen was not popping up on my monitors. For some reason I had to unhook them till I figured out which one would actually pop it up tonight. And
yeah,
just hitting that button and knowing that you aren't hitting there jamming F2 or delete or something to hopefully, you know, get in there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that's like, again, that's like just things that you don't normally see. And here's something else that I'm actually just realizing now that I didn't see. And you guys on the stream, it's going to be hard to see, but they have actually written on the board primary with the arrow down under the dim slots here, so you know if you
which one.
Yeah, so you know which ones. We used to have color coding. I know that kind of messes up the it kind of messes up the look of the board. So they're kind of nice that they have that now. You know, some beginners are kind of just, they might not know what they're doing. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Paul asked how many phases on the power delivery on the Hero. It's a 14+2 power phase design. They use 60 amp power stages. So with 14 total stages, that's 840 amps total power on this, which a lot of boards by default are around 600. So you have quite a lot of power on this board. Again, this is like an enthusiast overclocking board, so you kind of expect that. And of course, you have the cooling, like I said there. So you have quite a lot on this board. You have, as far as M.2s, you have this heatsink here. You have 2 here and 1 here. The middle one here is only PCI Express, where the bottom 2 are SATA or PCI Express. Again, that's kind of all limited by the chipset, but you can see, what you have here as far as those. The top one and the bottom one will support longer 110 millimeter drives, where the bottom one will support just 80 millimeter drives. Yeah, I always get that messed up because it's like M.2 2280. Yeah. So I always get that messed up. You have their Supreme FX audio there as well, which is really cool. And then one of the big upgrades for this board, most of these boards we see getting 2.5 gig LAN, but you're getting 5 gig LAN on this, which is really nice. And just like any high-end Asus board, we have USB ports. You have a ton. There's a total of 10 ports on the back. Most of them are USB 3.2 Gen 2. You have 2 USB 2.0s right here. But you have tons of USB. This board also has Wi-Fi 6, which is powered by Intel. And then you have clear CMOS button and BIOS flashback. The BIOS flashback button, you can see, is kind of denoted by the square. Basically, what you can do is you can put a USB flash drive in here without CPU, without memory, and you just hit that BIOS button, and the board will actually flash the BIOS. So flash drive. Yeah, so you don't have to have a CPU, you don't have to have memory. It's kind of a nice feature. And of course, integrated IO shield, which is kind of standard on most of the Z490 boards that I've reviewed so far. So yeah, it's I like it.
Yeah, I love seeing that much IO as far as USB goes on the back of the boards. That's what I love about the crosshair boards that I typically pick up, is just having no lack of USB ports for all the peripherals and stuff that end up being plugged in.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And as far as RGB lighting, not a ton, but I think it's just enough. You have RGB lighting right here on the what is this called? The ROG logo on the chipset heatsink, and then you have just the Hero logo that kind of lights up on the IO cover. Yeah, so you have that. Like I said, the board, like I mean, we can go, I don't want to go through all the benchmarks and stuff because it's pretty relative. If you have the same setup, like any Z490 board is going to perform pretty much the same. It comes to just extra features. And I think that this has a great VRM for one, and for two is that it has great VRM, great VRM cooling. You have 5 gig LAN, which is a huge step up for a lot of people if you have the hardware to support it. You're also getting those massive amounts of USB ports. You're getting great BIOS. There's so many more features in the Asus BIOS, especially in the Maximus boards when it comes to overclocking. Like you can nitpick every little thing, which I think is really cool.
Well, and one thing we didn't touch was like all the fan headers as well, right? Wasn't there quite a few fan headers on this thing?
There's a ton of fan headers, and then there's other headers that you will not find on any other motherboard. You have water flow headers and water flow indicators on this board that you can connect. There's temperature probe headers on this too. There's again, this is the enthusiast board. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's great. I gave it a 9 out of 10 and a good value because I think at $400, you're getting many features that are on flagship boards from other companies that are priced higher than this. You're getting that's that solid VRM and VRM cooling. You have all these extra features that you won't find on other motherboards as well. The only thing that I felt that was missing is that it didn't have USB 3.2 Gen 2x2. That would have been nice to see, just for the fact that it is a higher end board. But I think this is an excellent board. It's probably one of my favorites, and the price is right for me. I think the price is really good on this as well. So so definitely go ahead and check out that review, and we'll move on to the next review.
This one surprised me too. I saw it pop up and go publish today, and I didn't know you had those, and I was like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah, these are so totally different spectrum, as I said, and it is these right here. And these are the Philips, what are they called? They're the Action Fit ST702s. And these are wireless earbuds. And I have reviewed wireless earbuds in the past. And for me, like I always use headsets. Like when I'm on my computer, I'm going to use a gaming headset. But when I'm at the gym, when I'm running, when I'm out and about, I'm probably, for the most part, up until I reviewed these, I would still use a wireless headset. Not a big gaming one, but like sort of like a sport one or something like that. You know what I mean? And for me, these always sounded like crap. Earbuds to me sounded bad, and they never stayed in my ears. And that was the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get that, the deep bass, at least as clear as it is on the bigger headsets and everything, right? With such a small earbuds.
It was never a good experience. They were never comfortable. That's just kind of that's been my experience for the past few years. So Philips sent these over. I was a little hesitant. I actually gave them to Kayla to kind of test out, and then I actually tested them out, and now I want them back because I like them so much. So they are a sport earbud, right? And they are IPX5 rated, which means they're waterproof. So more or less, you can, sweat all over these if you're working out. You can actually wear them in the shower if you want. That's really cool. I think just you never know when you're working out how sweaty you're going to be. If you're out on a run, you can start raining. You don't have to worry about that. I think that's one of the really cool features of these. They have these little wings, these rubber wingtips, which actually help them stay in your ear. I think that is huge for me because, again, so many earbuds, they end up just falling out of my ears. And I did the craziest thing, like jumped all over the place, and these would not fall out of my ears at all.
Yeah, that's like I really need to invest in. I bought a pair, but I don't want to use them for outdoor sweaty stuff. But something like this would be nice because I just haven't migrated over to non-wired earbuds, and for the most part, so I'm always like catching them or snagging them on something. But something like this that helps hold it in your ear, and take a beating, kind of.
Nice. Like these can take a beating. So that's one of the big things. So again, these are like made to be kind of outside and get wet, and for working out, and they stay in your ear. So that's one thing I really liked. The second thing that I like about these is the case. So they come with this case, which I do have right here It does add some bulk to your setup, but it makes things so much easier. The first thing that it does is that, of course, it charges your headphones. So all you have to do, you have them. This plugs in via micro USB, and you just place your headphones in here. So they just sit in there and they charge. It's so simple. You don't have to like open a little flap on the earbud, which I've had to do before. It just makes it really easy. The second thing that the case does is that when you open it, put the earbuds in, and then close it, it actually UV cleans the bottom side of the earbuds. Living in the times that we do now, I think that's a great feature. It just, you know what I mean?
Is that what that little in the previous picture? There's like a little gold at the bottom there. Is that what those gold squares are? Or is that more?
I believe that those are UV LEDs right there that do the cleaning. So you are getting a UV cleaning with this, which I think is really cool. But the other cool thing about this is actually how the earbuds themselves work. So as soon as you open the case, the earbuds turn on. So if you're somebody like, when I'm like ready to go, like I'm ready to go, like I don't want to sit there, especially if you've taken like pre-workout. I want to get my workout going, right? I want to get running. As soon as I open the case, they turn on and they instantly pair with your device that you've paired. And happens almost instantaneously. So that I love. I don't have to fiddle with my earbuds. I don't have to do anything. I literally just take them out of the case and put them on. I don't have to worry about pairing after I paired them the first time. Secondly, is that each earbud is a touch sensitive, has a touch sensitive button on it. So, I believe it's if you double tap, you can pause, you can forward and backward your music. You can actually hold, or I think if you press it 3 times, it brings up either Siri or Google Assistant on your phone. There are microphones in these. I don't know if you can see in this picture, but you do have a small microphone. So technically you can take calls with these. It's not the best, but you can still do it. So the whole thing with that is that it doesn't stop your workout, which I like. So many times is like, oh, I have to figure out how to stop these. I got to, it's just like literally like a double tap will stop the music. You know what I mean? Which I think is really cool too. And the only thing I wish because it's touch sensitive, I wish I could like swipe up or down to turn the volume down and turn the volume up.
Yeah,
that was kind of a thing that I found missing, but I think these are great. I think they've got me back on team earbud. I was team over the head here, headphones, and now I'm team earbud again. These sound really good too. So I was really impressed by the sound, because that's one thing that's also turned me off from these, was that they actually sound really good. The bass is really good. The sound is really good. There is some sound isolation when you have them on, so you're not going to get super distracted by other things that are going around. They're not noise canceling earbuds by any means, but they do a good job of it. So I really like these. Now they are decently expensive. They're $159 online right now on Amazon, but I think that price is justified just for everything that you're getting. There are other cheaper earbuds that kind of offer the same type of thing, sort of. They're not from a big brand. They're
from what?
Like just weird Amazon brands.
Because I have like the Anchor Soundcore Liberty Neos, and they're similar, where they turn on when you pull them out, but they're definitely not. They don't have the little tab on them to keep in your ear.
Yeah,
and I haven't really worked out or anything in them. I don't work out, so it's
like I don't work out.
Next time I do, I'll give it a shot.
But yeah, so I think they are, because of the sound quality and the extra features, I think they're worth it. I also gave these a 9 out of 10. The only thing that I wish, because this is a brand new product, on the end here, you can see that micro USB. It's 2020. Why isn't that a Type C?
Type C. Yep.
Because this is where your fault's going to be. If you're somebody who's taking this with you, and then plugging in your event, like these type or USB, micro USB, if you move them around too much, they're going to fail. So that's kind of thing. Oh, another thing I didn't mention is that the case actually has a battery in it as well. So these will get 6 hours on a full charge. but the battery also gives you up to 18 hours. So if you have this fully charged, you can just take this. You don't have to be somewhere where there's power. You can, charge them again after a workout, and use them for days on end, which is pretty nice. And another thing, they do have a quick charge feature as well. So if you charge them for only 15 minutes, then you can get 1.5 hours of playtime, which is pretty cool too. So yeah, I would, like I said, I was highly impressed. I not typically highly impressed by things. So yeah. But let's do people are saying that they can't view the podcast for some reason. They can't
On
view the
YouTube,
live.
or
Yeah, I can't view the live stream. I've got some messages.
I've got it pulled up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I see people in the stream, so I'm just going to double check it really quick. They said we have it in restricted mode, and I know Paul's in here. Let me see. Well, hopefully I didn't do something wrong. I don't feel like I did, but I guess we'll see. Maybe it's people on mobile. No, I can see us on here. Let me bring it in when I'm not logged in. See if that works. No, I can see it. So I don't know. So hopefully everybody can get us here on the live stream. So in any case, let's go to Case Mod Friday, and we have another case mod from one. I would say he's like one of my top favorite modders. I just really like his work. It's different. It's unique. So it's from Mods by Ben Q. We have his. Is that, you say that Yule?
Yule Beast, yeah.
Yule Beast. So Yule is a company that makes really interesting cases, kind of like Hydra almost. But this is a mod done in their Yule Beast. I guess it's sort of like a test bench. It's more like a test bench than a case.
Yeah.
And basically, Mods by Ben Q, what he's done is he's chromed it out, and just made a custom distro plate here. And just his crazy, I know some people might hate it, some people might love it.
The curves.
But yeah, the curves, and I just like it. I like this color too. I think it goes well with the chrome, actually. So yeah, I think it's a really cool build. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's almost reaching into that feel of a scratch build. Obviously, it's not. It's using that Yule case, but no, I like BenQ stuff. I do like the curved bends that are in a lot of his mods. There was a mod that I don't think we featured, and I need to send it over to you to submit for one he did in the InWin 905.
Okay,
that turned out pretty cool as well. But yeah, no, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, his are just very unique, and I think that he's very.
He cranks them out fast too.
Yeah,
battery's got a backlog of photos. I don't know.
Yeah, he might. I don't.
Always working on something. Sure. I follow him on Instagram, and like just a constant production of these mods and builds.
And I really like that he did use that custom InWin power supply that comes with the D-frame, just because it does have that cool color in it as well. I think that's really cool. I think this is a great mod. I really like his work. You can see this is what the case is supposed to look like, kind of oriented like this. For a test bench. So very cool. I like the colors. I like the bends. You guys can check this out, of course, on the site. But again, we have our full section of Case Mod Friday builds. So, if something that, you can get some inspiration from or whatever, it's just on the site. You can see the whole, slew of Case Mod Friday builds that we have. But we'll move on to news. And this week, we have a very interesting story, and I think that if this is true, AMD is really trying to stick it to Intel. I don't know if this is true. This would, of course, move the timeline back, but then it makes sense for us to have Ryzen 3000 refresh. Then we're not going to 4000 series right away, because if this is true, it just means this is a big deal. Or good.
I was to say, yeah. If this is true, moving to 5 nanometer plus, like Intel just has like right when they're about to catch up, and get there, and then AMD pulls this out. So we'll see.
Yeah. So the rumor is that AMD Ryzen 4000 series desktop processors will be built on a 5 nanometer process, more than likely 5 nanometer plus. 5 nanometer is being kind of finalized right now. 5 nanometer enhanced 5 nanometer, so 5 nanometer plus is planned to enter production in Q4 of this year. So again, Intel is on 14 nanometer right now. AMD has got incredible performance and incredible multi-core performance and things because they moved down to 7 nanometer. And if they, with talks with, it's more than likely TSMC, we're like, we'll have 5 nanometer ready at this time. Like, if you want to wait, you can be the first, desktop processor on it. I just think this is a huge deal, and again, it's going to bring more performance because you're bringing that node down. It's going to do a lot, and it's just, I don't know. I mean,
well, and it's in such a short period of time too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that CPU roadmap image, and you've got your first and second gen Ryzen on 14 nanometer, 12 nanometer back in 2017, and by the time we're at 2021, like it's crazy. The more than halving the size. That's an amazing progression.
Yeah, and I think that, and again, this is the roadmap that they had shared, where you see Zen 3, which would be Ryzen 4000 series, being on 7 nanometer. So this goes against what they've put out, but I think that, again, I can see it being possible if they move it back, if they move the launch back to, say, like this time next year, you know what I mean? It could be like preview at CES maybe or something.
Right. And like we've kind of talked, last couple episodes with, releases coming out, and how you communicate that release in a time where, people may have lost jobs and there's just all this kind of turmoil. That's almost bought you that extra time period to say, okay, we'll do a refresh maybe, but for 4000 series, we'll just hold off, and guess what? We're going to be on this new smaller architecture. And I don't think anybody would really fault them for that.
Yeah, and like we did talk about, TSMC is opening that new factory in the United States that is going to be 4 or 5 nanometer. So yeah, Old Man said, isn't AMD doing a refresh with higher clock soon? Yes, that is our next story. We will be getting to that. But yeah, I think that if they can do this, it's going to be a big deal. So we'll just have to see, coming down to our next story, like Old Man said, that Ryzen refresh, or Ryzen 3000 refresh, we should see these. An online retailer already listed them. A French online retailer did list them with prices, which makes them very competitive. Again,
they were really only what looked like marginal price increases over existing parts. From
so from what the rumors are, these prices are a little off, but what the rumors are, the Ryzen 5 3600 will be $28 more than the original 3600. Again, these prices might be a little off just to kind of grab some attention really quick for the retailer. But they were listed, which typically when we do see things listed, they'll eventually be coming out. You know what I mean? So yeah, so we have a Ryzen 9 3900 XT, a Ryzen 7 3800 XT, and a Ryzen 5 3600 XT. These are the refresh models. We talked last podcast about their speeds and everything like that. But if they're only like a little bit more expensive, do you think they'll eventually just kind of
phase out
the other ones?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, yeah, because it's only like $20-$30 difference. I mean,
Yep. I mean, and for me, it's not going to be enough for me to jump to a 3800 XT.
Correct.
But if you know, are just building now, yeah, you could either probably score a deal on the older part because I'm guessing those will drop in price, or you can pay almost the same amount, or maybe even the same amount. If someone's running a special when they launch to get increased performance, so it's really a win-win right now.
Yeah, so that's kind of what they have going on, and it kind of makes sense because we didn't think there was going to be a Ryzen 3000 refresh, right?
Right.
So maybe they're like, okay, we can do a refresh in the interim, and then we can have 5 nanometer if we allow people to wait a little bit longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. So we'll see if that happens. Now moving over to Intel, it was technically supposed to be Computex time. Computex is supposed to be going on right now. So they had a kind of message from Intel CEO Bob Swan that he kind of they put out on YouTube and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of those this week, a lot of announcements and a lot of things because this is supposed to be Computex. This is supposed to be where we see all these launches. So I think any Thermaltake, EK, I forget a couple other companies had like these online things, and this is kind of part of it. And he addressed. He made a really interesting statement. I'll read it really quickly. He said, "We should see this moment as an opportunity to shift our focus as an industry from benchmarks to the benefits and impacts of the technology we create. The pandemic has underscored the need for technology to be purpose-built so it can meet these evolving business and consumer needs. And this requires a consumer-obsessed mindset to stay close, anticipate those needs, and develop solutions. In this mindset, the goal is to ensure we are optimizing for a stronger impact that will support and accelerate positive business and societal benefits around the globe." So this is a titanic shift in marketing and thinking on Intel's part because they are getting beat in multi-core benchmarks. And I do believe what he says makes sense. It doesn't matter if I'm using my computer for a single core, it doesn't matter what the multi-core benchmarks are. But I feel that benchmarks are always going to be there because if somebody wants the fastest processor, they're going to go to the benchmarks, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't like I'm kind of confused by the statement of the need for technology to be purpose built so it can meet these needs of evolving business and consumer needs. So you want to purpose build something for something that's evolving. Like, to me, that's like a conflicting statement. But
yeah,
I don't know. Everybody kind of took it as, "Hey, don't pay attention to the benchmarks. We know we're getting beat in some stuff."
we know we're getting beat in multi-core. But again, they'll say that they're the best gaming processor because they win the gaming benchmark. So again, it's very hypocritical, maybe. So yeah, that was very
less.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting thing that came out this week. And also talking about Intel, they have discontinued their 8th generation Coffee Lake processor. So that's, of course, the 8700K series, which I still have one of those laying around here somewhere. Not surprised. Discontinuing means that they're stopping manufacturing these parts. They'll still remain, the ones that are out there will still remain. They said that there's enough out there to last until December 18th, 2020. So those will be available via retail and OEM still. Yeah, it just kind of makes sense. that they are discontinuing these products because they have newer products and they don't want people buying the older ones.
That's one thing I haven't really paid too much attention on is like the discontinuation of stuff. I guess, when AMD, like the first gen Ryzen series, I kind of paid attention to when those were falling off and not really available, not necessarily from an announcement standpoint, but just, oh, hey, these aren't available anymore. You can't find them anywhere. So you assume that they've kind of discontinued those. But this almost feels like quite a ways out age-wise. The 87 or the That series processors just seems like they've been around forever, but maybe it's just because
It's only a couple years.
It's only a couple years. I know.
And you think back, I mean, that's a 6-core processor. That's the first one where they went above 4 cores.
It's just almost surprising to me that they're still building, manufacturing that stuff. What's it going in?
I mean, you would be surprised how many, if you think about it, like how many, because we're power users, we want the newest, the latest and greatest, but I mean, there's people that don't need that. And, especially like the non-desk, like the Pentiums that are in that list and the i3s and those.
Oh yeah, those will be around forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes really, if you think about it, that 2-year-old processor is going to handle like 99% of stuff that we do on the latest CPUs and everything just fine. Like, it'll handle it just fine.
Yeah. Paul said he wished he kept his 8700K. It ran stable at 5.1. I think I had mine at 5.1 too. I don't remember on my overclock, but I was like just super excited about that processor because it was like, holy crap, we have 2 more cores.
What do I got to do with all this?
Yeah. So moving from CPUs to hard drives, we had talked about Western Digital and their deal with SMR hard drives and their WD red line, saying that they weren't. And it looks like they might face a class action lawsuit over this because obviously they denied it initially. I could see it happening. I mean, we had the class action lawsuit over the NVIDIA. What was it? Instead of 4 gigs,
the the 970.
Yeah, we had that one. We've had a lot of these.
3.5 and a half.
Yeah, AMD had one over what was it? I forget which processor it was, but we talked about that one a few months ago. That was finally settled. I can see it happening. It kind of makes sense. If you want to follow up on the story, definitely. We have the previous articles as well, because a lot of people who are in the NAS space. What's the subreddit that you follow?
Data Hoarder.
Yeah, Data Hoarder. It was all in there as well about this because again, the hard drives that they were labeling as the same WD red drives were getting less performance because they were built a different way.
Correct.
So yeah, so they might face a class action. So that's, I guess. But yeah, that's if you're into that, that's a very interesting story. As I talked about, Thermaltake had their sort of online Computex thing. It was very interesting. If you watched any of it, I don't know if you caught any of it.
I didn't. I haven't had a chance to really pay much attention to some stuff. I saw a couple news stories, but I didn't see any of Thermaltake stuff.
Yeah, so Thermaltake had a lot of launches, a lot of things that we saw at CES, which we will be talking about. We're only going to highlight a couple things, actually 2 things. One is I like mini ITX cases. So they announced a Tower 100, which is basically a tiny version of their Tower 900. And I do like this case, but I just feel that there's a lot of wasted space. After reviewing the NZXT H1, I think that these have a lot of wasted space.
I mean, I looked at the Silverstone LDO3, right? Which is if Thermaltake didn't already have the larger version of this, you would think that maybe they got some cues off of the Silverstone case. But I reviewed that a couple, I don't know, and towards the end of last year. And there's a lot of wasted space in there, especially right above. Well, I say wasted space. You could put a really big air cooler on the CPU in there and take some of that up. But yeah, it's just the layout out of them is kind of weird. But I do like this design. It's kind of unique.
And I feel for Thermaltake, a company that prides themselves on liquid cooling, they only have support up here for this 120 millimeter AIO. It just appears that you could do a 240. I don't know, but like there should be room in this for a 240. And like you have all of this extra room up top above that, right? Like you see all this up here? Like there's all this extra room. And then like I know a power supply sits down here, but there's a ton of extra room I feel that's just wasted down.
Well, if you think up top, that's where all your IO is for your USB connections and all of that. So you've got to have some room for it to not just be sticking out the top of the case.
True.
And it's kind of funny because I think Jay's 2 Cents released a video. I'm pretty sure it was today because I watched it over my lunch break, and he was talking about that Silverstone case, and he brought that same thing up. Wasted space up top and inside the case. I think it's just that design and this form factor where you're kind of just
I do like
maybe
it,
making some
though.
exceptions, but I think. Go ahead.
I do like it because with the NZXT H1, you didn't really get to see the inside of the case. And even
Right.
though Mini ITX is like hard to make like look super nice inside because you do have limited space, this does look nice. This is something that I would want on my desk where I can show it off. Especially again, if I do have like an RGB CPU cooler and RGB, because again, in the H1, if you have RGB memory, you're never going to see it. And like my light up graphics card and things like that. So I do like it for that reason. I just feel like it could have been done slightly better, but it's basically again a smaller version of their Tower 900. So, yeah, I like it. I do like it. It is like I said. So I don't know if we have. I don't think there's pricing on these. And most of the stuff they announced, I don't know if there's pricing. But we do. The second product is very interesting. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we did see it at CES.
No,
yeah, we did.
this isn't what we saw at CES.
Yes, it is. Is it not?
No.
I swear this is what we saw at CES.
Nope. Go ahead. Go to it. I'll find. Yep, I'll find it.
Yeah. So they announced they launched the world's first CPU in memory AIO liquid cooler. So basically, it's your normal their Flow series AIO. So they have 360 and 240 AIO here. That you have your normal block, and then you have memory. So this is made to work with their own tough RAM memory. The memory is sold separately, and basically you can cool both of them with an AIO, and of course all of this awesome RGB-ness. I feel it's just too cumbersome because an AIO is meant for like.
Oh, just kidding. It was. We did see it.
See, I see. I'm not going crazy.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's cool, but it's like one, memory typically doesn't need to be water cooled, right? And two, the AIO, it's like how hard is this going to be to like hold this block in place while you have these held in place because these aren't disconnectable,
and just
right?
Yeah.
And again, you have stuff going to more components. So how effective is your actual CPU cooling, which of course is obviously more important than and it only works with like their tough RAM memory, I think. I'm not sure how when you open this up, well, can I just put this on any memory? You know what I mean?
Well, and lining that up with like your memory sticks. Do you have to have the memory in there first and then click this whole thing into your motherboard? Does it mount over the memory once it's in the board? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's yeah. So I thought it was interesting, but it's just weird. Yeah, so they do offer it in again, and again, it's like that's kind of how those look. So I think you have to install these on all of your BIM. Yeah. So yeah, 240. They're called the Flow RC360 and the Flow RC240. If you guys want to check that out. Another new case that launched actually today is Fractal Design. They introduced their Define 7 Compact, and I think this case makes so much sense because I love the Define series. Absolutely love it. But if you're not using a ton of storage, or if you're not doing a custom loop water cooling where you want that extra space in the front of the PC, it's wasted space. It's very much wasted space. So basically what they've done is typically this case would extend probably like out to here. Yeah. It would extend quite a while, and it would be empty where you could install water cooling or whatever it may be, or you could install a plate that kind of covers it, and you'd have like 8 hard drive trays that would go in there. So basically what they've done is they've shortened the case up and made it really for a lot of normal users, I would say. So what you have, do I have the picture?
And that's not to say that you can't put water cooling in this, right? It'll support a 360 rad up front, a 240 up top.
Yeah.
It's just not all the extra volume that's up front. And I wonder if they kept that volume up front, because I don't remember if the regular 7 still had the 5.25-inch bay at the top, like the R6 did.
It did not.
Okay, so like the R6, right? It still had the 5.25 bay there to accept an optical drive or something similar. So that depth there made sense on that aspect, as well as those drive trays for the 3.5-inch. But this,
and I think that, again, if you're not doing like a heavy storage build,
Mhm.
And again, this is pretty normal for, I would say, a mid tower anyway. So you have two hard drive trays down here in a cage. And then you have two SSD mounts. And again, most people are like getting into NVMe now. It makes total sense if you want that fractal design quality and you don't need all of that extraness. I don't know the price on this just yet, but it would be.
It's very low 100s. I think it was 99 for the a solid side panel and 109 for the tempered glass, I believe.
Yeah. That is not bad at all. So you have, again, just like all of the quality that you would expect from fractal design, and just a cut, I guess, like, again, they just cut the front in half, or cut it down. So I really like it. It makes complete sense. So it's called the Fractal Design Define 7 Compact. That's what it's called. I really like it. It makes a whole lot of sense. And again, the Define cases are just so big, where if you don't need all that, it's just nice to cut it down. And it, again, it's not as big on your desk either. Like I showed you here on a desk, it's not, the normal case would extend out probably another 6 inches or so. So yeah, really cool that they released that this week. And then another interesting announcement today, again, was that Lamptron came out with a new RGB and fan controller. We reviewed their other one, which I had talked about, and it wasn't the best. So this is their new CU135, and this looks awesome.
I was really curious what you were going to say about this one, because I know you kind of liked the other one, and you're a fan of these fan of the fan controllers. But yeah, I was curious to see what your thoughts are. And
I was super excited for the other one, and then I was very disappointed with it, just on its functionality and the crappy LCD. This looks like it has a proper LCD in it. So basically, you have this controller. You have 6 ARGB headers and 6 4-pin fan headers. And then you have 6 thermal probes as well. And the whole idea is that you hide this behind your motherboard or in a drive bay or whatever. And you connect all your devices. And then you have this guy right here, which basically, let's see if I get a bigger picture. Oh, they didn't send very big photos. But you have this guy right here, which sits below your graphics card. Mm-hmm. And this one appears to have a much better display, which is also a touch screen, which is pretty cool. And it's a fan controller and ARGB controller. So you can control up to 6 fans and up to 6 ARGB devices or zones, because again, you can daisy chain ARGB just like you can daisy chain RGB. And it looks like you could do some really cool stuff. The display looks like an actual LCD display, which is nice. You can actually set fan curves by using the touchscreen, which is pretty cool.
Kind of interesting.
You can pick colors using the touchscreen, and you can do it with the remote. There's an included remote. It looks really cool. I just, after my experience with the last Lamptron device, I can't say it's going to be great.
So I kind of wonder how actually useful the touchscreen is. Like, once it's in your case, like, are you going to be wanting to take the side panel off every time you want to adjust it? I mean, I kind of get that. And then I'm also curious if that's the only view that they've got, is that kind of layout there. Obviously they have some of the graphs that they'll show, but I'm wondering how much, customization, if they'll open up the software package to allow people to just customize that look a little bit, add your own logo, kind of like the XT did with the Z73 and the Z series Kraken coolers with the screens, right? You can add your own GIF there and kind of customize it a little bit. It's kind of neat though.
I think it's cool. I would have to see it to see if it's actually like that. But again, the touchscreen again, yeah, like you said, it's not very useful, but you do get the remote. I'm not sure how well that would actually do either. So we'll have to see. But yeah, that is their new flagship kind of fan controller, lighting controller deal. And then we move on to gaming. So if you're a Diablo fan, Diablo 4 is supposedly supposed to come out before the end of the year, and a YouTuber uploaded 20 minutes of gameplay, which if you haven't seen it, if you're into Diablo, this is something that you might want to check out. The big differences, at least that I've seen in this, we'll just let it play here for you guys, is that it's much darker. So like Diablo 3 was very bright. This is kind of like goes back to its old ways. So a lot of people complained about that. You can even see like how the edges here are kind of darkened out.
Right.
And this gameplay,
not quite Fog of War, but faded.
This gameplay, they're using a new engine for this, and the gameplay is of the barbarian character. So if you're into that, we have the whole video in the what's it called? In the article in the show notes, so you can check it out. I just never got into Diablo. I don't know about you.
No. So I didn't play the first two. I always remember like growing up seeing them. I was like in middle school or something. You'd see the boxes back in the day when you'd go to like the video store and they had the boxes that were huge. And I'd always see Diablo, and it just like, I don't know, I never really got interested. Diablo 3, however, I got that and played through it once. But I didn't, once I beat it the first time around, I didn't really play it anymore. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it. And thought it was fun. I'll probably check out Diablo 4.
Yeah, Paul says it looks like DLC for Diablo 3. I don't think it is. I don't know. But yeah, they said a lot of people are saying it's not going to be out by the end of the year. Obviously, people are working from home, and you know how games go. But we'll see if it comes out. I never got into Diablo. I played Diablo 3. It just was never my thing. I don't know. I'm not a big RPG. I said RGB. I'm a big RGB guy. I'm not an RPG guy. So yeah, it's not my thing. But one game that
it didn't even feel like an RPG to me. That's not good.
Yeah, it just was never my thing.
Not your style.
But talking about a game that is my style, which I think today is the last day to get this for free. Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, is free on Epic Games. That includes Borderlands 2 as well as Borderlands the pre-sequel. So two, I would say, awesome games, 2 AAA titles that are being given away. And this is actually the third major title or third AAA title that Epic has given away in the past couple of weeks. We had Grand Theft Auto 5, which we talked about, which broke Epic. Then we had Civ, what is that? 6? Sorry, I can't read Roman numerals. And then we had this Borderlands. The next one, the rumor is that it's going to be Ark Survival Evolved, which will happen tomorrow. So if you guys want to get this, if you're listening to the podcast, if it's after the 4th, 4th is the last day to get this. So if you're listening right now or you're in the live stream, just head over to Epic Game Store. We have the link in the article as well, but head over to the Epic Game Store. It's free. These are 2 games that I highly recommend. They're great ways to kill time, and they're really good. I think Borderlands 2 is like such an awesome game, and it's one where you can kind of like just escape. It's like, it's not an online game. You know what I mean? You can kind of just like escape and play through the game, which I think is pretty cool.
You can't play with friends though, right? You can co-op
it. I think you can co-op it. Yeah, I believe. I don't remember.
I think I played like an hour or 2 of it with some friends and never picked it back up, but it was fun.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a fun game, and the fact that it's free, you can't complain. Yeah. You just pick it up,
add it to your library.
Even if you
literally tonight during the podcast.
Even if you don't plan on playing it, just add it to your library, because you never know. One night, I'm like, I'll just play this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's great that Epic's doing this. I think this is kind of like their push. Like, this is like obviously a big marketing thing. that have these AAA titles back to back to back for free. Because if you look at, they do give a game away every week or every couple of weeks for free, but they're like titles you probably never heard of. And to have that, you know, have three now, hopefully 4 AAA titles back to back is pretty big, especially like they're big titles. Like Grand Theft Auto is huge, and I think Borderlands is a huge game. So that is pretty awesome, I think. So definitely check that out. Paul said that Rockstar is doing a remake of the first Red Dead Redemption for PC. That would be cool. I never got into that game either. I thought about it when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, but I don't know. Never. And again, I never have time to play games either. So yeah. So that is it for news this week, guys. We'll go to what we have coming up next week. And guess what I have, Ryan?
Another. Let me guess.
Another portable SSD.
You think these companies would run out of making them, but you just keep.
I just keep getting them. This is one that we did see at CES as well. This is the Patriot PXD. This one's a little, it's sort of like a candy bar. I feel like it's shaped like a candy bar. But it's USB 3.2 Gen 2, 1000 megabytes a second or 1 gig a second transfer. I love these. I think they're so great for creators on the go. People need fast storage drives, great for even like console storage drives because they are super fast. Or like a game drive that you can take with you to like your friend's house that has like your Steam library on it or whatever. These are great. So
what size?
I have the 2 terabyte.
Ooh, the big boy.
2 terabyte. So excited to take a look at that. And then you have some light strips.
And
these look a lot different than your normal light strips.
You don't have them on the screen. Okay,
there we go.
Yeah, the LSO4s from Silverstone. The kind of unique thing about them, a lot of times you think of light strips and they have your thin strip with some LEDs surface mounted, and sometimes they've got magnets in them to stick them to your case, which these do that a little differently via some clips, which I'm not as big of a fan of, but they work. But they also have kind of 2 sides that illuminate, so you have a wider strip that you're used to, but the sides also glow as well. So you've got some options for routing the cable and still getting the illumination in your case, because a lot of times you're running these things like tucking them between metal panels or between like the frame of the case and a fan, and you have to like twist the light strip and it shines the light in a weird direction or not. You end up with inconsistent lighting. These kind of help out with that. And they have the smooth lighting as well. It's not individual LEDs that you're really noticing. They've done a pretty good job smoothing out the light.
Yeah, they added, it looks like just a big diffuser, which I think is really great. Very cool. So did they just send you just like a single kit, or do you have like multiple?
So it was a single kit, which comes with I try to remember how many strips now I have. It showed up at the top. I think it was just 2.
So just 2.
Yeah, just the 2.
These work with all these, so these connect to your motherboard.
Yeah, they can. I actually have them installed in the Silverstone case that I reviewed a couple months ago, and it has a controller built into it.
Okay.
So I've just got it connected to that. And
this is the first time I've seen BioStar
RGB Sync, like showing in one of these.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, but very cool. So that is what we have coming up next week. It is the end of the podcast where we talked about if we've done anything or seen anything cool or watched anything or played with anything. You did have those key light airs that you were setting up tonight?
Yeah, they showed up. I got one out of the box.
Are they actually big? They seem to be big.
No, not really.
Oh.
I mean, I've got some stuff on the base already. They're decent size. Like this, I've got it mounted, so I can't like pull it towards you. But it's probably like this big.
That's not bad.
So no, it's really not. The base is nice and sturdy so far. There's just so many creature like nice things about it that you can do with it. So I'm really excited to get that going. I had just like connected it to my Wi-Fi and got the app on my phone earlier, so like I can kick it on here from my phone, and I can just make it like super bright.
I didn't really research or know anything about them, so like I just thought they were a light that you turned on. Like they didn't have any of that other
No.
functionality. So
Nope. And you can adjust the color temperature on them.
nice.
Also, it works with the Stream Deck, the
Oh,
Stream Deck.
cool.
So I will be incorporating that in my Stream Deck, I think. So
Nice. That's exciting. I have not. I'm trying to think if I did watch a new show that's kind of funny. It's called Space Force. It's on Netflix. You don't have the Netflix, do you?
oh, the one with Steve Carell.
Yeah.
I don't. I've heard that's pretty funny, or it looked pretty funny.
Yeah, so it's Steve Carell from The Office. It is pretty funny.
Because I tried to start watching one on HBO a couple months ago. I'm trying to remember Avenue 5, maybe.
I don't know.
It was called something like that, and it was a space thing, and it had Hugh Laurie from House. He was like the captain of this ship, kind of. And I watched the first episode and just couldn't get into it. I don't know. The comedy seemed forced, and
Yeah. I talking about space shows, I was just thinking that I
Oh.
saw somebody post something about Battlestar Galactica, and I was like, I just want to rewatch that now.
I didn't watch it, but did you watch the SpaceX launch?
Oh yeah, the SpaceX launch. Talking about space,
was
yeah, I did watch
awesome.
it, and it was just like
I got emotional almost.
Yeah,
like, I was like sitting there watching it, and my mom happened to be over the weekend, and I had my kids around, and was like kind of telling them about it, and like I was sitting there watching, and like I started feeling like emotional, like this is a big deal. Like I'm nervous for them. They've got families of their own. But it was like felt really good.
It was the first manned space flight in 9 years
from US.
Yeah,
first in private ship going up, and
it was just so cool. Like it felt like you were part of something special, right? It was very cool. And the fact that again they showed the rocket coming back down so they can use it. Like I remember when I forget, when did the first one do that? That was
a couple years ago, quite a few years ago actually.
And I was like, that is so cool.
Landing on a floating platform right in the middle of the ocean that's bobbing up and down with the waves, and
it's just
everything it takes to do that.
Technology has come quite a long way. So I think that was really cool. And like you felt like you were part of something special. Like and it was crazy to see just how many people were watching. I forget how many people were watching worldwide, but
I was watching, I think, the SpaceX channel on YouTube, maybe the NASA, I don't know, but they each had hundreds of thousands of people watching.
Yeah, and then the next day when they docked with the space station, it was on YouTube, and there was 650,000 people watching that stream.
Yeah.
So I think that was really cool. If you guys missed it, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube or somewhere at the launch. Very cool for us tech people. I think that's awesome. I'm trying to think of. I got. Well, you guys can see it. But I got some stuff more set up over there. As the whole moving process has been interesting.
You got your lights up on the ceiling, right?
Yeah, I do have my lights. So if you Alexa, turn off office lights. So that's them off. Alexa, turn on office lights. So they're all set up. They've stayed up, which is good.
Yeah.
so yeah, my desk is still wobbly. I got to get that figured out. My Wi-Fi has been better, which is good. We'll be doing some upgrades to that, which will be exciting. I won't talk about them until we get the stuff in, but I think that's about it. I shot photos in here for the first time, so our new reviews that PXD drive and some other new reviews that be coming out
were shot in there, weren't they?
What?
Were the earbuds shot in there?
No, they were not.
No. Okay.
But yeah, and that is basically it. For everybody, next week I will be at the beach, so we will not be doing a podcast. I think Ryan will probably be doing a extended Twitch gaming session, maybe adding in some of the content that we have. But yeah, I'll be getting some. Hopefully, the beach is open.
You might want to check before you go, right?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, a couple of friends were already down there, and they said it's pretty much open, which is good. So it's going to be interesting flying now. That's going to.
Oh, you are flying somewhere?
Yeah, we're flying. So that should be interesting thing to do. But we're going to go ahead and end things here. We are going to jump on and play some games, are we not?
Yeah.
So we will be playing. We're playing Apex.
Yeah, and I didn't get any, like, I say I didn't have time. I just didn't commit my time to figuring out what the hell's wrong with my streaming setup, and why I was getting those frame drops, but or low FPS, I should say. It wasn't frames, but yeah, we'll see how we go. I have some hunches, and I made a couple adjustments, but I haven't tried it like with a stream again. So we'll see.
Yeah.
If not, bear with us. I'll try and work on getting it figured out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I got to see if this new Wi-Fi thing that I can set up over here will actually allow.
Yeah, hopefully you have that cable ready to go just in case.
I do. I bought a 75-foot cable. So if there is issues, I have a 75-foot cable that will go across the living room.
So you don't have to put a switch in between two other cables like last week.
Yeah, so we will see, guys. We'll be over at twitch.tv/ThinkComputers in about 10 minutes?
Yeah,
15 minutes, something like that. Thanks everybody for tuning in again. We hope everybody is staying safe, and we'll see you guys next week.